Here she comes. Hello and welcome to the chaos that is the Cozy Moth Knits YouTube channel. My name is Caitlin, and I'm going to forever call it a podcast, even though I knew from the beginning of all this that this isn't really a podcast. It's more like a show and tell, like look what I made kind of video. But for the sake of continuity, I will continue to call it a podcast. But welcome to my podcast. For those of you who have been here a while, you might have noticed that the logo and the name of the channel has changed. That is a new development. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I finally reached out to my sister and said, hey, can you update my logo for me to like meet my aesthetic a little bit more? And of course she did, because she's fantastic. So huge thank you to Michaela for revamping my logo for me. If y'all need any logo updates or any sort of, marketing related things, do reach out to my sister. She is fantastic. But anyway, again, hi, my name is Caitlin. I come to you from Northern Delaware. I live here in Delaware with my husband and my 2 dogs, who you've already seen. This is Blue, the Greyhound, and the little white dog was May, our schnoodle. I am a librarian, and I have been knitting since I was 13, so we're coming up on 16 years of me knitting, but I only really took it seriously starting a little bit before the pandemic. Did I start like knitting like socks and sweaters and that sort of thing. And I started this podcast back in September of 2020, and it's just crazy to think that here we are almost 3 years later. And it's just kind of crazy how time works, For those of you, again, who have been here for a while, I have been absent for several months. Life gets in the way, as it normally does. Through most of March or February, March, I was doing some home renovation projects that took up most of my time, and then through April, April was just not a good month. I'll just leave it at that. And but despite April not being a good month, March and April really, I was able to get a lot of projects done, and I was just, even though I was knitting and crocheting, I just didn't have, the mental capacity to sit down and film myself. This is actually my second time filming this podcast, because I tried filming earlier in the week, and looking back on the footage, I just saw myself not really being in it, so I decided to film it again. I've had a pretty decent day at my job. I'm the head of my library staff association, so that meeting went well today. We have our monthly meetings. That meeting went well today. The library has been busy this past week, so just like I have a lot of energy. I've been exercising a little bit more. I've just been, I've been in a good headspace. And today, this random Thursday, I'm in a good headspace. So I figured I would give this a shot again and show you what all I've been working on. And I don't think I specified earlier that this is a crafting channel, a crafting podcast, if you will, a show and tell. And I do mostly knitting, but I've been dabbling in crochet, and I talk all the time about how I want to do other crafts, but I never really have the time to do so. One day I will learn how to spin. One day. It'll happen. So let's get into what I've been working on the past few months. I guess we will start. Thankfully, after I filmed everything the other day, I kept everything down here and I barely touched it. So, but I guess we'll get started with a pair of socks that I made. Well, first of all, there's one item that I did not complete or that I completed but I don't have with me because they were a gift from my dad, and I did not bring my laptop with me to talk about the titles or the names of the items. But here's a picture of the socks that I made, or of the pattern that I used. I didn't take a finished object picture, of course, because I always forget. But I made these socks for my dad. May's getting up and looking outside. Made these socks for my dad. My dad really likes it when I make him hand knit socks, but he like wears them to death. So much so that the first pair of socks that I made him, he like wore a hole into the heel like a month after getting them because he would wear them all the time. And he gave them to me to darn, and I have yet to darn them because I'm nervous and I keep pushing them off. So I said, you know what? While I work up the courage to knit you or to darn your socks, here's another pair of socks instead while you wait for them. I used some Ritual Dyes yarn that was in I think it was in their 2021 winter solstice kit. 2021 or 2020, I can't remember which one it was. And it was for a pattern that I didn't end up making. It was like a brownish gold kind of color. And then the heel and cuff were some leftover yarn that my friend Tracy from Grizzly Knits sent me for Christmas a few years ago. But I'm proud with how it turned out. So there's that. I finished that probably in late February, maybe. I don't remember. So there's that. But I have something, I have a physical item to show you. I mean, like everything else is going to be physical. But I made these socks for my husband. These are I believe they're the morning coffee socks by Crazy Sock Lady. And I've had this pattern to make in my Ravelry like favorites for a while, and I was just waiting for the right time to make them. Because I'm a big, I very much like textured socks over like colorwork socks. And this has a really good like broken rib texture, and of course you can't really see it with this colorway. But it's like a broken rib sort of. I got this yarn when my husband and I went to the Pacific Northwest in 2020, which I know, withhold your judgment. In hindsight, we shouldn't have done it. But the trip was already planned before everything went to hell, and it was in a lull. And thankfully, it was the most beautiful time of the year out there, and we did so many things outside, and I'm glad we went, and I don't have any regrets. But I know people look at me funny when I say we went to Seattle and Portland in 2020. And yeah, people think we're crazy that we did that. But we did it anyway. And like I said, I'm not like, sue me. I don't regret it. But we got this yarn at a yarn store at Pike Place, and I believe it's actually called the Pike Place Yarn Store. I don't remember the name of the yarn, but I remember asking for specifically for local dyed yarn, and they told me this one was local. I think it was off of Bainbridge Island, maybe. I don't remember. I didn't keep the skein band, unfortunately. But my husband likes it when I knit him socks. He works in a cold storage facility most of the day, so hand knit socks are a must for him. I know the foot looks small, but he and I are literally the same foot size, and we like a tight sock on our foot. So it looks like I'll be knitting a pair of socks. If you say like, oh, you're knitting a pair of socks for a child, like, no, it's for my husband or it's for me. And they're like, oh, that foot looks really small. I'm like, yeah, because it is, because we like a tight sock. So, and then the leg is extra long to fit in his boots. But yeah, and he has yet to wear them yet, even though I finished them probably in February. But I didn't want him to wear them because he likes to throw these in the wash. Because he's not going to hand wash his work socks. He likes to throw them in the wash, and they fade, obviously. Like, I've knit him socks like a couple years ago, and they're still hanging on, like, which is surprising. And now, like, they're just like they're so fair. Like they're pretty much this like beige color at this point. Like all the color's been washed out of them. But he still wears them and they're still hanging on. So hey, like they still work. So, but yeah, these are these socks for him, and now he can finally wear them. I have another pair of socks, and if you've been following me for a little bit, I've talked at length about my new obsession, I put in big quotation marks, which is hockey, the NHL. And this year my husband and I were in a fantasy hockey league with some friends from our church and some of their friends because they moved from out of town. And we all did a fantasy hockey league together. And that was my first time doing any sort of fantasy sport. And I decided to keep track week to week of the weeks that I lost and the weeks that I won against the various people in our group. And I decided to track them with a pair of socks. And here they are. Don't ask me why I decided this like weird gray color for the heel, cuff, and toe. In some like, I don't know why I chose that. I also don't know why I paired these two socks together. I guess like middle school me, who always loved pink and green together, came through in this color selection. The pink stripes indicate the weeks that I won. And this is You Have No Power Over Me by Knitting the Cobby, which was from her 2021 Knitting Advent Calendar, or year-end calendar, holiday calendar, I guess. There's that, and then the green is a Knit Picks fingering weight yarn in the colorway Rosemary. But yeah, here they are. I did pretty decent. I was pretty like even between the two. I was not the worst in my league, but I didn't move on to the playoffs. But I was pretty pleased myself for my first time doing it. I got really into it, checking it every day, updating it, and getting, to knit on these every Monday was really satisfying to me. I've yet to wear these because I've been waiting to film, talk to you guys to show them. But these are definitely going to be wear around the house socks. And yeah, again, with the texture, again, a broken rib kind of situation. It looks like a waffle stitch. I love me some texture, and they feel nice on your feet too. So these are my fantasy hockey socks. And for those of you who want to know, my hockey team name was the Aesthetic Bedsheet Ghosts. And I still love that name, and I will continue to use it going forward because we're going to do it again next year. And speaking of hockey, and speaking of ghosts, my Ghosty Bag, even though I am living in the Philadelphia area and grew up in the Philadelphia area, I am not a Flyers fan. Also, you would think with this orange bag I would be a Flyers fan. While I do love going to Flyers games, I do not follow the Flyers team at all. Excuse me, itchy. The team that I follow, kind of going back to the Red Sox, I follow the Seattle Kraken. And why do I follow the Seattle Kraken, you may ask? Well, when Phil and I, my husband, went out to Seattle in 2020, that was the year the Kraken announced that they, were now going to have an NHL team in Seattle, and this was the name, the Seattle Kraken. And they announced that the week that my husband and I were in Seattle, and the town was going, was so excited that they were getting an NHL team, and there was all kinds of like Seattle Kraken merchandise and like all this stuff. And I liked hockey, and I really enjoyed watching hockey and, learning about it. And I like the sport in general, but I didn't want to root for the Flyers because they're not really a good team. And I didn't know what other team to root for, and I didn't want to just pick like the Bruins or, or like the Leafs, the Maple Leafs, But I was like, you know what, this is a brand new team, brand new everything, and I'm a brand new fan. I'll just follow Seattle. And the first year was rough. It was really bad. We did not do good at all. But this year we've been doing pretty decent. At this point, we are in round 2 of the playoffs, and who knows what will happen from there. Everything is up in the air with these playoff games. But for the regular season, I decided to, I tracked the my week-to-week winnings in the fantasy league. I tracked the winnings of the Kraken during the regular season, and I decided to make a cowl. I don't know why I chose a cowl, but I figured a cowl would be easy to figure out as opposed to a sock. I don't know why, but I made a cowl, and here it is. It's pretty long, but it's meant to be worn all scrunchy, obviously. This, imagine this, around my neck. I'm not going to put it on because of this thing. But yeah, so this light blue and red is just a little border at the top and the bottom. The dark blue indicates the games lost, and the light blue are the games won, and these are clearly the Kraken colors. And again, we did pretty decently. This big winning streak right here was a record breaker, and I'm very, proud of them for doing that. And yeah, they do really good with the winning streaks. And yeah, they have some crappy times, obviously, but they did pretty well this year. Obviously, well enough to get into the playoffs. And my husband and I plan on going back to Seattle in the fall this year, and we plan on seeing a hockey game, and I plan on wearing my cowl to the game. And yeah, so that's where we are right now with that one. It's been kind of weird. It was kind of weird when the regular season ended because I would literally spend every other day working on this project and keeping track every day of the wins and losses. And once the regular season was over, I would watch a game, or I would follow a game, or follow the standings, and I'd be like, I feel like something's missing. I feel like I'm not doing something right now that I need to be doing. After months of updating my fantasy hockey and knitting on this, then it was done, so it was kind of weird. But there's that, and now you don't have to hear me talk about the Seattle Kraken anymore for a long time, at least. Moving on to another cowl. I don't remember the name of this cowl. Again, I apologize. But this is something that I started in January, I think, and I finished in March or February. It's just a little cowl. It's a checkered print with some yarn that I've had in my stash for a very long time. They were extra skeins from sweater quantities worth, because I always end up buying an extra skein because I never know if I'm going to need extra, and I'd rather have an extra skein than not have enough. So they were both extra skeins. One being from my season sweater and the other being from my pajama cardigan. And then I just held all the yarn together with some Knit Picks mohair. And it's just, it's this fun little, even though I said I'm not going to put on the other cowl, but it's just a little neck guy, as cowls are, it's small, it does the job, it keeps you warm. I've worn it to work a couple times. I like it. It's a fun little accessory. I recommend it. Even though I didn't have really the right needles for it, and I hate magic loop. So I tried doing it on small circumference needles, and that didn't work out really well. And then I tried doing it on double pointed, and that didn't work out. It was just an awkward thing to make because I don't like magic loop. But if you like magic loop, definitely give this a shot. But yeah, you can see where it kind of bunches, especially here because of the stranded color work. There especially, you can see how it bunches in. But yeah, oh well, only I notice it, not anyone else that I see in person, So there's that little cowl, and I will definitely be bringing it back into rotation. in the fall. Excuse me, I don't mean to be itching my nose, but I am. What else? This is a recently finished object, as we're on the topic of knitting, and I don't know how I feel about it at this point. This is the Lace Raglan by James M. Watts, and I saw this all over my Ravelry for some time, and I don't know, I must have been like in a good mood when I decided to make this. I've had the Ritual Dyes yarn since 2020. Again, we keep talking about 2020 in this episode, but I've had this yarn since 2020, and I've tried making projects with this yarn on and off for 3 years now, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make this project, and I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to do it. But yeah, the Lace Raglan in Ritual Dyes Undine in the colorway Lamb's Ear, which is this really cute sage green. And we all love sage green right now. But I know that I made this top too small. I was looking at the gauge and the ease, and it says that it's made with like, I think it's like 1 to 2 inches of positive ease. And I thought, oh, like I don't want this to be oversized. I want it to be more form-fitting. Why? I don't know. Like, why would I want that? Again, I don't know. And yeah, it's definitely small. Even though I stretched it out in blocking, I still think it's going to be too small. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe, I don't know, because I made this with the intention of wearing it when I go with my husband to Arizona this summer. But I don't know. Who knows? Again, like, I like it. Let me talk about the garment itself. I like the garment. The garment was fun to make. It knit up very, very quickly. I love the construction. I love the lace. I love how easy the lace pattern was. And I loved James's vision when he made this sweater. And but is it for me? I don't know. I do like it though, and I'm happy that I finally have a project done with the Undine yarn. It's just, yeah, I'm just bummed that I made it a little too small, but who knows? Maybe I'll figure it out. I did put it on though, and I looked at myself in the mirror when I wore it, and I wasn't too happy with it. And now that I'm looking at this, I've noticed an issue with the pattern, so maybe I wouldn't be giving it away to someone. I don't know. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So that's the ribbed lace raglan. Where am I putting this? Right here, I guess. I have a finished crochet project. Blue's toy. I have a finished crochet project. Last time we spoke, I had only just finished it. I had just started, or not just finished it. I had only just started it. May wants attention. Woo. So yeah, I'd only just started it, and I finished it because I made it with the intention to sit in my guest bedroom, and I finished it just in time for our friends to come by and visit. But here it is. It is, I think it's just called the Gingham Throw. I found it on Pinterest, and it was a free pattern. Here it is. It's this very pretty rust and cream color with tassels, and it was very easy, and it went by fairly quickly. The longest part of it though was the tassels. That was the most frustrating part. But yeah, so you do a lattice stitch, I believe it's what it's called, and then you weave in the colors intermittently throughout. So the blanket does shrink when you do that, but at least it looks pretty, you know. At least it looks pretty, you know, draped across a bed, or maybe you could use it as like a picnic blanket or something. It's very much a picnic blanket, but I'm pleased with it. This is my first like real finished crocheted object, and I will definitely be crocheting more blankets in the future. I'm already thinking of one, but I'm very happy with it and I recommend it. And obviously all the patterns are linked below if you're interested in any of them. But yeah, so there's the Gingham Throw. Put that right there. So those are my finished objects, and I guess we'll move on to, we'll move on to works in progress. I have a couple. A couple are on hold because I don't have the materials, and a couple are on hold because I've been working on other things. So I guess since we're talking about crochet right now, I'll start with my crochet projects. So the first one is something that I started with my sisters. One day, my one sister, Michaela, who created the logo for this channel, she messaged me and said, I've been watching all these like cozy vlogger people and they've been crocheting and I want to crochet. And I'm like, okay, let's have a crochet night. And she was like, like, why don't we knit like a tote bag or something and let's get our baby sister involved in it. And I said, okay. So I found she found one that was like very, she found a tote that was really cute and I'm probably going to make myself one day. And I thought, you know what, this might be a little much for a beginner crocheter. But I found a gingham tote bag because you know me, I love my gingham. And I'm like, yeah, it looks, you know, pretty easy for a beginner. And we were like, great, let's get that started. So we started on it and I haven't really picked it up since, but here's where we are at this point. So I took the two of them to Michael's and we picked out our yarn and gave them the right crochet hooks and everything, or showed them to the right crochet hooks, I should say. And we just went from there. And yeah, here it is so far. I definitely haven't picked it up. I want to, I just have had other things that I'm working on. But I'll definitely be picking up again soon. It was kind of funny because we had all started it at the same time and I'm not a good teacher by any means. And we like had the video going and my one sister and I had very tight gauge, so we had to add more stitches to our pattern, and my other sister had very loose gauge and she tried using the same amount of stitches we did and her tote bag ended up being like this long. So it's kind of funny how those things happen, but yeah, this is where we are now. Definitely the bottom is tighter than I want it to be, but it is what it is. But yeah, maybe next time this will be completed. It was moving pretty quickly. It's just, it takes a lot of, I don't know, it's a lot of switching colors back and forth, and that just like adds to the process. But there's that tote bag. A little piece of yarn all around me. I guess while we're in the crochet mood, I will show you how far I've gotten on my granny stripe blanket. It's getting big. I posted on my story recently that it's getting a little too big to carry to work when I work on Saturdays. It's just me. Saturdays are very slow. It's like me and a student worker, and Saturday is very slow, so I just sit back at my desk and crochet and knit all day. May, be nice. She's guard dog. So let me show you where we left off. Because I got a stitch marker. Where is it? I can hear it. Oh, there it is. So here we are. This is how it is. It's as wide as a king size bed, by the way. So here we are. This stitch marker is where we left off. So we've added about 50%, 40% to the blanket. I am using the knitting or the yarn holiday advent things that Knitting the Cobby and Stress Knits put out in 2021. Stress Knits obviously isn't doing yarn advents anymore, at least for the time being, so this was her second to last one. I didn't do hers last year, but this was Knitting the Cobby's first knitting advent calendar, and I've been alternating skeins as I go through. So like the bottom, I'm starting like this is Knitting the Cobby, this one, and then we have Stress Knits, Knitting the Cobby, Stress Knits, and just alternating as we go. Stress Knits holiday calendar lasts for 30 days because it goes through the whole month, while Stress Knits is 25 days. So there will be a large strip of just Knitting the Cobby skeins. And then I'm going to add the 2022 skeins from Akara yarn and I think it's Akara. I don't remember. I have to look back on it. Akara and Earl Grey Fiber Co's collaboration, which was Only Murders in the Building themed. And then Stress Knits, or not Stress Knits, Knitting the Cobby did a 7-day end of year holiday yarn calendar situation. And that was 5 days. Each of the skeins were 50 ounces instead of 20 ounces, which like they normally are. And then what I want to do, because I know I'm definitely going to get a 2023 advent calendar. I don't know if I'm doing one or two, but definitely at least one. And that'll most likely be, and that will definitely be Knitting the Cobbies. But then I want to take my 2020 advent and like make a separate and then stitch it to the bottom so that it goes, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Because if I don't, it's going to drive me crazy. Or if I put it in the wrong spot or whatever. So those are my big plans for this. It's definitely a long-term project. But there are times where like I knit through so much so quick, or I crochet so much so quickly, and other times where it just sits around and I don't touch it for a while. And that's kind of where we are right now. Even though I'm almost done, I'm so close to finishing the 2021 advents. It's almost done. It'll get there eventually. But right now I am, okay, so we're moving from crochet onto knitting. I've been working on this recently only because my other project is on hold because I'm waiting for yarn to come in. But this is I actually have the name of the project here with me. It is a cardigan for my mother, and it is the Stockbridge Cardigan. And for a couple of years, I have been giving my family knitted Christmas gifts. But 2022 was a very slow knitting year for me, so I didn't end up giving them knitted Christmas items. But my parents, lovingly cornered me during Christmas dinner and asked why they didn't get any knitted items and how they were looking forward to knitted items. And I said, I'm sorry, it didn't end up happening this year. And I said, but I'll knit them something. What do you want? And my dad said socks, so I knitted him a pair of socks. And my mom said a cardigan, and I said, okay, figure out what type of cardigan you want, or like if you have a cardigan in your wardrobe now and you want me to make something similar to it, I will. So she showed me one, and of course it's like a fingering weight yarn. It's not like a chunky warm cardigan. It's a, like a light cardigan basically. So I said, okay, so I found the Stockbridge cardigan, and she picked out her yarn, and it is a beautiful Merlot red, and it matches this, this sweater. And last time I showed you, I was only a little bit, the needles are going everywhere. I was only a little bit past the ribbing along the hem, and now, today, I started the sleeves. So I've gotten pretty far over the past few months. This is another project where I've like picked up and like worked furiously on, and then I put down, and then I pick up again. But here we are at this point. I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm glad that I like decided to refilm this because on Monday when I filmed this. I hadn't joined the shoulders. Well, I hadn't even finished the front panels. I didn't join the shoulders, and obviously a sleeve wasn't started. So now it looks like something instead of just like a blob like this. So now it actually looks like something. So we're getting there. I've pinned the fronts together so that it's easier to maneuver when you're working on it. But here's where we are. My mom is smaller than me, so this will definitely fit her. So yeah, this has this cool little like cap sleeve detail that's worked in short rows, which I didn't even like think about, and I really like it. So we just started this sleeve. All the short rows were done this afternoon. It went by very quickly. But yeah, I'm pleased with how it's coming along. Oh yeah, this stitch marker is where we left off last time. So we've definitely come a long way, even though it takes a very long time because it's fingering weight yarn. The yarn is, by the way, Knitting for Olive. I can't remember the name of the red, but if I find it, I will put it here somewhere. I'm trying not to think too hard about how it's definitely going to look homemade, unfortunately, but hopefully it'll block out, or hopefully I can weave it in such a way that some spots look nicer than others. Like the front, oh my God. Like the front of this does not look very nice at all, but it was like the best I could do. Like, you see what I mean? It's you can't see. It doesn't look like that seam does not look good at all. Like the back, of course, the back looks fine, but the front doesn't look too good. So hopefully that'll block out. I don't know. Or maybe she'll be moving around a lot that you won't be able to see it. So I don't know. I'm thinking too hard about it. But that's where we are with this cardigan for right now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is taking a long time, but it's also been nice and challenging in a good way, so I'm enjoying it. But she probably won't get this until probably the fall, but not like she can wear a cardigan right now anyway. It's getting warm. So as you could tell from my failed summer top, I'm kind of in a summer top mood, and I'm in the middle of knitting one now, and I would have loved to have had it done by this weekend, but I ran out of yarn, unfortunately. And the top that I'm working on right now is the Ingrid top, and I don't remember the name of the fiber artist, but here it is. It's a tank top. Yeah, a tank top with a lot of with these eyelets, which are very pretty. And yeah, I've just been having a blast. This is definitely potato chip knitting because you just want to get to the next eyelet section. It's now at the point where I can just knit in circles since I joined the front and the back. I still need to knit another 10 inches before I can before it's suitable for my body. But I'm very, very pleased with it so far. It's supposed to be a little oversized. May. It's supposed to be a little oversized, and it's supposed to be a little bunchy when you wear it. So, but yeah, I'm excited to get this off the needles and wear it. I feel like it would look really nice with either a pair of jean shorts or just jeans in general, or black linen pants. I feel like it would look really, really nice with. But yeah, I'm excited to get this done. I have multiple summer tops that I'm very interested in knitting this year. I know I want to make at least one Look at My Holes by James M. Watts. I want to make one in black to wear over a very specific dress that I have, which I feel like will look really nice. And I want to make one, and I want to, completely copy High Fiber Knits and make one in cardamom, which is Knitting for Olives. I would like to make one in Knitting for Olives Pure Silk in the color cardamom is what I meant to say. Because High Fiber Knits made one, and she wore a black sports bra or bralette underneath of it, and it looked really, really pretty. And I could just picture myself wearing it when I'm in Arizona, because it's going to be hot because I'm going in July. So that'll be fun. So I would like to make that. We'll see how that goes. I've bought the yarn already. I got Knit Picks Cotton DK in black to start off with, because I have until July to like make all these like summer tops. And I've been like, I made this in 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, if I make the other ones, because like the look at my holes is like all like big lace, and everyone says how quickly that knits up. I'm like, well, I can do that in a week, and then, you know, this can be done in 2 weeks. Not anymore, because I ran out of yarn. And then I want to do I am going to do the Totally Tank Top by Jessie May, because I saw this come across my Instagram feed, and that picture of Park Williams wearing that in the most gorgeous vermilion red, and I said, I need that yarn, and like I need this. I must make this. So I set an alarm, or I like set a notification for when Ritual Dyes had their vermilion Undine yarn when it became available, and it like became available at like midnight my time on like a Wednesday night, and I ordered it so quickly. I'm like, no one's gonna snatch it up before I can get it. So I ordered that, and that'll take a couple weeks to get here. So hopefully I'll be able to make it in time for Arizona. That's the hope. That's the hope. I have like a month and a half, so we'll see. So yes, I have that in mind. That's definitely a priority. The look of my holes are priority. I also would like to make the home camisole, I believe it's what it's called. Yes, the home camisole, or the home top, because I saw a picture on Pinterest of a woman essentially wearing the home camisole, and I said, that looks absolutely beautiful and stunning and gorgeous, and I want it. So I found, you know, like on like page 3 of Ravelry, the same top, and I put it in my favorites, and I decided what color I want to make it in, and it's going to be beige, because, you know, I like my neutrals, even though I'm buying this vermilion red yarn. You know, you got to have a little bit of color, I guess. And then I saw, I think that's by Kadri, I think, and then I saw another image on Pinterest of a woman wearing this blue ribbed camisole, and I said, wow, that looks absolutely beautiful too. I also want to make that. Then I found the Remy camisole by Kadri as well, and I said, great, wonderful. And I found the perfect matching blue on Knit Picks as well, so that will also be made eventually. I don't think I'll be able to get all those tops done by the time Arizona comes around, but I would at least like at least one look at my holes and the Totally Tank. Yeah, and we'll see where we go from there. But I do like being able to knit up these garments in such a quick fashion. It makes me happy. So we'll see if I actually complete those garments, because I do have a habit of saying like, here's what I want to make, and then I never end up making them. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's it for right now. This definitely was a shorter video than the one I filmed on Monday, and I feel like I had a better attitude and a better outlook and feel better about the whole thing than I did on Monday. So thank you for giving me the second chance, even though you didn't see the first one in the first place. So I'm going to leave this here for now. Thank you for stopping by and visiting with me. Even though these videos have been fewer and fewer, even though these videos are now few and far between, I still enjoy making these and putting them out and showing you what I'm working on and seeing what everyone else is working on. And I want, you know, everyone to know, even though, like, if you are also a yarny YouTuber and you know, you and I have been friends for a while, like, I still watch your videos, I just don't comment. I've always been a lurker. Like, I am watching your videos, I just don't comment because I never know what to say. But do know that I'm watching you, and I'm seeing what you're doing, and I'm proud of you, and I always look forward to when you post. So yeah, I wanted to leave that there. And again, thanks so much for tuning in. If you like what you see here, or if you watched other videos of mine and you've enjoyed it, do hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment on this video if you would like to. Even though I said that I like to lurk and not leave comments, I do appreciate reading your guys' comments, and I like being able to respond to them, and just chit chat in the comments. Sorry, my sister's texting me, so I keep reading her texts because I film off my phone. Yeah, so I'm always so bad at ending these, and I say this every video, and I still have, I've been doing this for 3 years, and I still have a hard time ending these videos, so I'm just going to end it. So thank you all again. Stay safe, everyone. Keep knitting, and I will see you all later.